Hi Capricorn, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your November 2021 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And for those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, take out the growth spread as always, and also put an Oracle card and a Mudra card for you guys. We're actually going to start the reading off by rolling those astrology dice we have in front of us to get an idea of where your focus will be as far as that goes. So let's see what we get. Alright, so we have 3. So that's the house of communication, short distance travel, and for you guys, that's Pisces energy. Not really much going on there, astrologically speaking. I mean, we have Neptune in there, but that's about it. Alright, we have Pluto, and Pluto is actually in your sign. It started its direct motion recently as well. And we have Sagittarius, so that's actually your 12th house of the subconscious, spirituality, blind spots. And let's see, obviously the sun's going to move there toward the end of November. Venus will be there for about the first week before it moves into your sign, and the South Node is finishing its transit through there too. Alright, so starting with your spread in the main position, we have Page of Pentacles. So this could just be how you guys are currently feeling, like something's just out of your reach. I always point out with the Page of Pentacles, it looks like that Pentacle's sort of in his hands, but not quite, right? So maybe there's a goal you've been working toward, and you might feel like you're close to achieving it, but you're not quite there yet. In the Challenger obstacle position, we have the Two of Pentacles. So for this to come up in the Challenger position, that could be saying that might possibly be why. You know, you might feel like your energy is a little bit too scattered. So maybe you're trying to do 2 things at once, for example, and that might be, you know, in the long run, it might seem like a good idea. But like, oh, you know what, let me just multitask and take care of a few things at once. But it might actually be sacrificing the quality of each of those things a little bit too. So that could be the downside of that. And for some of you, there could be a couple different options around the situation too, right? So if you have a goal in mind, you could have a couple different pathways to get there, and you're trying to decide which of those would be the best. All right, in the foundation position, we have the Ace of Cups. So seeing this in the foundation is definitely a good thing. I feel like this is saying that you're probably going to end up choosing something that speaks to you on a more emotional level if there are multiple choices, you know. So even if it is around a career situation, you just might want more of a career path where you have a bit of an emotional attachment to it, as opposed to just, you know, feeling like you're going through a robotic 9-to-5 type mode, and yes, maybe the money be good, but you feel like you're not connected to it, you know. If that's the case, you might see some communication around that as well, because looking at that bird, that makes me think of communication, possibly through social media. But yeah, someone might either make a suggestion to you, or you might just even overhear something that might spark an idea within you of how you could change your approach. All right, in the past position, we have quite a few cards. So we have the Chariot, Cancer energy, Temperance, Sagittarius energy, Four of Pentacles, Capricorn energy, and the Magician. So really what I'm seeing with this is I feel like this is saying you might have actually had a really good opportunity come your way in the past. And with the Sagittarius energy here, which we also saw come up in the dice, could just be saying that you guys might have really gotten stuck in your head around what to do around that offer, right? So you could have been weighing the pros and cons constantly. And ultimately, I feel like it's saying that for whatever reason, you might have actually decided to hold back and not engage in a situation. And possibly because you felt like, yeah, you know what? So, for example, you're like, all right, yeah, this seems like a really good offer, but it's not quite what I'm looking for. And you might have just had the faith in yourself that, you know what, I can manifest something just like that, or possibly even better down the line. So, I feel like whatever it was, you might have actually held back on it. For some of you, it could have been a romantic relationship, given that Cancer energy represents your opposite sign of partnerships, relationships. But it could have been around business as well. You guys had that Mercury retrograde in your 10th house, so could have been a lot of back and forth there around your career too. But yeah, like I said, it looks like you guys kind of got stuck in your head around the situation, decided not to take action on it with the belief that you could get something better down the line. All right, in the present position, we have the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. So this is Virgo energy. And for this to come up in reverse could just be saying that you guys might be withdrawing a little bit from work, so you might be in more of the thought phase as opposed to actually taking action. Like I said, it looks like there's something that's just out of your reach. And I feel like it's close enough to where you really do feel like you can attain it, but at the same time, like I said, either there's a couple different pathways that could get you there. So maybe until you're decided on which one you want to take, you could just be holding back from actually putting in a lot of work at this time. Let's see if anything else comes to mind with that. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Your sixth house is pretty quiet, so I don't think it's related to that necessarily. All right, in the near future position, we have the Strength card. So, seeing this card here on the one hand makes me think that for some of you might actually have an idea of the path you do want to go, but you might just feel like it's more of a timing issue. So, it could be one of those things where you have your mind made up. All right, so super generic example. I just mentioned the fact that you guys had that Mercury retrograde going through your 10th house. So it could be as simple as that realization, like, okay, I know this is my plan of action, but yeah, I also know that the retrograde energy is still clearing up, so I'm going to give it a couple weeks and then I'm going to jump in, right? So it could be that that's how it's coming across for some of you. For others of you, though, it could just be saying that you've been trying to hold back, your passion for something for whatever reason. Again, could just be a timing thing, maybe even around investments, right? So maybe you're just looking for just the right time to jump into the market if it's some kind of investment you're thinking of making, but that's what I'm seeing with that. All right, in the position of your influence on the situation, we have the Seven of Cups. So interestingly enough, on the one hand, like I said, it looks like there could be a bit of certainty on your part that okay, there's this move I want to make, but then seeing this come up in your position could just be saying, I did mention the scattered energy back here, and that's obviously what I'm seeing with this as well. So I don't know. It could just be saying that you have a lot of options at play, and maybe on the one hand you feel like you do know the one that is best, but you still might be exploring the other options too, right? So that could be around anything. That could be dating, it could be job offers, vacations, you name it. But yeah, looks like you're definitely in a bit of that mode where you're looking at a bunch of different options. Now I do always point out to people that while we could see what's clearly in those cups, this person's quite literally in the dark, right? So part of you may know that, okay, I see these options, I'm aware of them, but maybe, so maybe you're just doing your due diligence too. Be like, all right, let me make sure I'm really seeing the situation clearly before I move toward any of these options. So that could be the more positive way it's playing out. But if you really feel super sure of yourselves too, just be mindful that this energy is at play. So just might want to double check and triple check things too. All right, in the environment position, we have the Knight of Cups, Pisces energy, and the Nine of Swords, Gemini energy. So Pisces, for you guys, that is your third house communication, and we saw that come up in the dice as well. So for some of you might actually want to come forward and make an offer to someone, but at the same time, there could be a lot of anxiety around that. So on the surface, you might present a lot of confidence behind it, but underneath it all, you could be worried about how the offer would be received. Now, of course, this is the environment, so this could be someone that's actually looking to come toward you and is feeling that exact same anxiety. So you guys would know your situation a little bit better in that regard. Could even be both, but first thought that came to mind is I feel like this could be you guys actually thinking of coming forward with an offer, but just having a little bit of anxiety. So, for example, like I said, if there was some kind of offer in the past that was really good, but for whatever reason you might have felt like, yeah, I'm not sure if that's quite the right fit, but maybe now you're viewing it a little bit differently, and now you might want to take them up on that offer. Now you might be like, okay, well, how do I even approach them now, right? Like, it's been a while. Are they even going to still be willing to extend that offer to me again, right? So it could be one of those situations. But I will say at the same time too, with that Nine of Swords there and the Seven of Cups, it looks like the best thing to do might be to talk these things out. And that could also be why the third house communication popped up for you guys, which is to say this would be a good time to clear the air in November, because I think around the 3rd or 4th of the month, the Mercury retrograde shadow period is going to be completely done too. So November would be a good time for you guys to clear up any confusion that might have taken place. All right, in the hopes or fears position, we have the Nine of Pentacles. So I feel like this is you guys possibly trying to find the balance between the stability, right, which we see with the Six Pentacles there, but then a little bit of freedom too, which we see with the bird on her arm there. So it could just be one of those things where you're like, okay, how can I? So that could be what this is about with that Two of Pentacles, right? For a lot of people, the way they relate to money and their careers has shifted a lot over the past year and a half for obvious reasons, right? But that could be kind of where you're at, where you're like, okay, I do like the stability, but I would like something with a little bit more freedom too, right? So that could be what you're hoping for, to find that balance that's just right. So for example, maybe this was you guys for a while. You might have tried to hold down to a traditional 9 to 5 job and also have a side gig, right, on a more entrepreneurial side of things. But you might have found that that's a bit overwhelming. So, like I was saying, earlier, where I mentioned you might attempt to multitask something, but then realizing that it might be sacrificing the quality of both things to a certain extent. So that could have been a realization that you guys might have come to recently. Like, okay, I tried the side gig thing, and yeah, you know what? It's just getting to be a little bit too draining. So, okay, let me pull back from that for a little bit, hold on to my traditional job for the time being, and figure out, okay, is there another way that I could approach it where I could have both, right? Or can I take the side gig thing and make it more sustainable on a financial level to where I could totally get rid of the main thing, right? So it could be some reevaluation going on your part. And again, like I said, that would make sense if that took place with the Mercury retrograde being in your 10th. Could be a lot of reevaluation around that area. All right, and in the outcome position, we have the King of Cups. So looks like it might be a bit of a bumpy ride at points, but to see this come up in the outcome position, I view as a good thing, especially since we see the Scorpio energy for you here, and your influence too. So to see this in the outcome, for me, says that as we move through Scorpio season, you guys are going to be a lot sure of yourselves and the direction that you do want to go in. And for you guys, Scorpio energy is your 11th house of hopes, wishes, friendships, groups. So, maybe you connect with some new groups who actually help you figure out your best path forward, or, if there's some kind of creative idea you've had for a while, this looks like you're going to have it on more solid footing by the time we get to the end of the month and just have your thoughts a lot more focused around that too. All right, bottom of the deck, we have the Knight of Wands. So it could just be saying that as we get to Sagittarius season, now you'll finally be able to hit the ground running, right? So Scorpio season could be an evaluation phase where you're trying to figure out, all right, what's my next steps? How am I going to move forward in this situation? Now, like I said, with that King of Cups and the outcome, could just be saying you get it figured out sometime during Scorpio season. By the time we hit Sagittarius season toward the end of November, you're going to be ready to roll. So pretty positive there. All right, moving on to your Oracle card, we have Chaos and Conflict. So, to be fair, in some ways it does look a little bit chaotic here. I'm not necessarily seeing a conflict energy though, but we'll see what it says. There's the artwork, and the number is 33. All right. Yeah, I think for a lot of you, it might be more of an internal conflict than anything, and we already talked about what that could be, right? The two different paths. But let's see what it says. It says disarray, being at cross purposes with another, the tension of opposites, the value of chaos before order. The Oracle's message. Opposing forces come together to create a turbulent atmosphere, but consider the value of chaos that serves you well as you become unmoored by it. Scattered to the winds, you leave behind the parts of yourself you no longer need and disperse seeds to reinvent yourself anew. Although the conflict appears to exist externally, its essence is also internal, projected outward and causing disarray. You may find yourself at cross purposes with someone else, facing a storm you feel you can't control. Yet every storm passes, and chaos leads to a reordering of things. Conflict provides a way to see more than one side of a situation. Look upon this as just a moment in time when you may need to take shelter and step away from the fray. Don't be too eager to fight. This is a time to understand rather than to be understood. So, pretty solid message there. And like I said, it looks like that might be where you guys are at anyway. We're in more of a planning stage right now as opposed to actually taking action. And then when we get closer to Sag season, it looks like you'll have it figured out and you'll be ready to take action at that point. So hopefully that resonated with you guys. All right, the relationship message says stubbornness is keeping you in a state of opposition. The incessant need to be right will only serve to prolong the conflict that deep down you want to be resolved. This is an opportune moment to learn about your values, your sense of self, what's really important to you. Some things are non-negotiable. If that's true, it's not necessary to fight. Can you find a way through the stormy emotions to higher ground? Soon the air will clear, and you will be in a much better place than before, for the storm will have passed, blazing a path for new growth in its wake. Things can become electric and enlightened, always better than before, if you use this time constructively. Pretty positive message there. I will say I didn't really get much of a relationship vibe with this spread, but hopefully that resonated with you guys. Worst case, we'll be doing the love readings next week. The prosperity message says, circumstances appear to be chaotic, but everything that is happening now is in truth shaking things up so you can find a real path to your prosperity. Yes, it's a stormy time, and it feels as if there are opposing forces wherever you turn. Be reassured that there is divine purpose in this chaos. Everything that doesn't work is being taken from you, so the truest parts of yourself remain. The events occurring now are essential for your ultimate prosperity. This chaos is divinely inspired, even though it doesn't appear to be that way now. In time, you will know this to be true. So, pretty positive message there, too. And I will say, at the time recording this, we recently had Saturn start moving direct in your second house of finances, as well as Jupiter. And you guys are ruled by Saturn, of course, so you could have been feeling that shift. Pluto, I'm trying to think if it's already going direct. It's either about to go direct or just started direct motion as well, too, and that's in your sign. So you could just be feeling a lot of those karmic shifts as well. And that could be part of what's making all this happen. Moving on to your Mudra card, we have the Jnana Mudra. There's the image there, and the keyword for it is wisdom. All right, and okay, it looks like we can't fit everything in the frame, so if you want to pause it or take a screenshot, you can, and then I'll move it up so you can get the rest. Okay, under benefits, it says evokes the feeling of lightness, calms the mind and brightens the spirit, opens the chest and facilitates diaphragmatic breathing, reverses the outward flow of prana and directs energy back toward the body, increases the benefit of any asana. So if you think that would be beneficial for you guys, I'll put the name of the mudra in the description video as always. We'll wrap up there, and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.